Warning, this video may contain content that some viewers may find disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised. Welcome back to Gatekeepers Exotics. I'm Matt, and I'm going to take you along with me as I build a gas chamber to humanely euthanize the food that I feed my snakes. If you're anything like me, you are an animal lover. And most people who raise snakes are animal lovers, and it doesn't matter what kind of animal it is, whether it's a reptile, whether it's a mammal, doesn't really matter. We love all sorts of animals, and I just don't necessarily like feeding my snakes live for a couple of reasons. Number one, I think it's kind of, it's cruel to raise these rats and them to trust you and everything, and then you just throw them in the box with a snake. Number two is if they so happen to bite your snake during feeding time, prior to them expiring, it it can leave a lasting impact on your snake. Not only can it leave a lasting impact, but it can leave scars. Like we have one snake that's got a great big knot on his nose from, or her nose from being bitten while feeding. And not only that, but when they do get um, when they do get bitten during feeding time, a lot of times they'll go off food, um, kind of basically until they forget about it. So, without further ado, let's get into it. So, I'm going to show you all of the materials needed that I think are needed. I'm going to walk you through the process of making the chamber and what it's going to look like, how it's going to work. The concept of it is that you use CO2, which is going to enter the chamber, and because it's heavier than oxygen, it will stay on the bottom, and it'll push the oxygen up and out of the chamber. So so we'll go over that as we're putting it together and as we're making it. But I figured a little bit of a tutorial here would be great, and this is a very cost effective way to do it. You don't have to go buy a big CO2 tank or anything like that to be able to build a CO2 chamber. So, let's take a look at the items that we need. So, number one, um, for me, I use totes. So what I have here is it's just a shoebox tote. That's all it is. And I'll be able to put the rats in there. It'll hold several rats, um, small to medium, and a couple of large rats. Then of course you need the lid for the tote. I have the lid right here. Um, now to drill the holes, I have found that like a wood burner with a fine tip or a soldering iron with a fine tip works absolutely amazing for drilling holes in these totes. So that is precisely what I use, just a regular old soldering iron. And believe it or not, that is simply a sharpened piece of coat hanger. That's all that is. Works great. I can cut lines in totes. I can do all kinds of different things with the totes without having them bust and crack when you're trying to drill through them. Because if you use a drill bit on them, a lot of times they'll bust. Then next, we have a hot glue gun. So just a regular old hot glue gun of any kind. Preheat those, make sure they're good and hot. Next, I have some fine tip tweezers just in case. Next, I have a valve stem. So I just went and took that off of an old bicycle tire. Um, it's just got a little metal end on it, cut the rubber back a little bit to where the metal end sticks out so I can make it flush mount against the um, against the container. And then lastly, we have the CO2 cartridges. See, with that being a really small box, I have some 25-gram CO2 cartridges. Um, That's just a little thing for holding it because it will get cold as you disperse the CO2, but just 25-gram CO2 cartridges. And then with this kit that I got off of Amazon, I have, if I can get it out of here, I have a little tool used to disperse it. What that kit actually is a tire inflator. It's an emergency tire inflator. So for that you can put in your backpack or your fanny pack when you're riding a bicycle to inflate your tires. All right. So with that being said, let's go ahead and make this thing. All right. So here we go. So first thing first, what I want to do is kind of get an idea of where I want my valve to go. So we want it as low on the box as we possibly can get it. So we're going to go down here in this lower corner, I believe. So I want to start by putting a hole. I'm just going to put a hole right through there. And remember, it doesn't have to be perfect because we have hot glue and we can seal it up with hot glue, no problem. So let's see here. It's going to go through. Maybe let me bring this edge out just a little bit. That should do it. Get it through there. There we go. We've got our valve seated in. And we have it going through nicely. We'll pull that out just a little bit, put a bead of hot glue around it, and then put it back in. But in the meantime, let's pull that out. All right, so we've got that cleaned up a little bit. So it doesn't get black all over our hands every time we touch it. It probably still will because it's old and it's deteriorating. So let's get this seated in here. Pull that up just a little bit. And again, it doesn't have to be fancy at all. Um, and what I like about hot glue is it can drip on hard counters and be perfectly okay. Uh, that's one of the great things about hot glue is if it drips on hard counters, it generally is going to be just fine. Let's get some underneath it all the way around. And then we're going to push it in and twist it as we push it in so that glue gets all the way around it nice and forms a good bond. There we go. So there's our inlet. And then we'll put our lid on top here. And all we need is a pinhole. And a lot of oxygen will escape around the top. Like I said, I've never done this before. So we're going to find out together whether this works or not. But after the research I've done, this is I've had a lot of people talk about, oh, go to your local welding supply store. They'll have CO2 chain or CO2 tanks and things like that. Um, but this is a very, very low cost way to do it. So, of course, I'm not going to be able to euthanize a whole lot of them at one time, but I will be able to do multiple mice at a time, like quite a few mice at a time will fit in this little box. But several small rats, quite a few medium rats, and a few large rats and extra large rats at a time. So let's put a little small pinhole up here in this upper corner right here. We're going to open that up a little bit. There we go. That's enough. And so the CO2 will stay down. Will sit low, and the oxygen will come out there. It'll force the oxygen up and out. Now, all I needed was my heat iron, my uh, hot glue gun, and then, of course, the kit. Once this sets good, I will put the uh, tool. I'll screw that right onto the end of that, and then whenever I'm ready, I can um, put the cartridge in the end of it, and then all I have to do is open the valve. That's it. That's all I have to do, and open the valve slowly and let it slowly creep in. The mice or the rats, whichever it is, will slowly. They'll just go to sleep and expire. And then, if you're in my situation, like we've got a whole lot of snakes, um, so we can either unalive at the time of feeding or unalive before feeding. So this is a very quick, easy, cost-effective way to make a chamber um, very quickly and very easily. If you like my content, please don't forget to give us a follow, like, subscribe, do all the things, and hopefully we'll see you on the next one. Check in from Thor. Thor the mighty beast. Check in from Thor. All right, settle, settle, settle.